Life is hard. See, for every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life.
Sometimes we have something that happens in our life that is a tipping point. It takes us over the edge. That drives us to a place where we just can't take it anymore, and all of a sudden we react to it.
I appreciate every facet, every phase, what some may consider to be success, failure, opposition, ups, downs. I appreciate every facet of life, and I firmly believe that life is the greatest classroom. Right? And when I encounter situations, my perspective goes to a place of, okay, life, what are you trying to teach me right now?
I'm wondering if there's anybody out there who has ever gotten to the point of exasperation, depressed enough and discouraged enough and frustrated enough that you just want out of your own life, out of your own skin, out of your own world. You can get in the car and just drive until you ran out of gas, and then get on a bus and go till you ran out of money, and wherever you were, change your name and turn into somebody else because it's enough.
What I learned along the way, everything that's happening to you is God is processing. Every difficult moment you're having, He just processing. That's all He's doing. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. And if you need to be tough when you get to where you're going, then He gonna toughen you.
I need you to rejoice in the midst of opposition, in the midst of adversity, in the midst of trials. It's a big difference between quoting scripture and having to live it. Whatever you do, please don't quit. The danger of quitting is it has the possibility to become a habit, and then before long, you'll look up and you'll quit on your wife, you'll quit on your relationship with God, you'll quit on anything that brings a level of discomfort, and it doesn't give you the validation you want because you're not getting it and because you're not cut like that.
Life is hard. See, for every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life. It happens to everybody.
We got to wake up every single day. We got to fight and we got to build it. In the midst of opposition, adversity, and challenges, like I told the guys I played with, I don't care how tall your daddy was, you got to do your own growing. True courage is the ability to accept pain and start things without any guarantee of success, but also understanding that the ability to learn is a gift even when pain is your teacher.
Life has disappointment. It's got peaks and valleys. You're going to lose somebody you care about one day. That's a valley. Somebody going to close the plant you thought was going to stay open so you can retire. That's a valley. Somebody going to fire you for an unjust cause. That's a valley.
Judge the character of a person by where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. You got some of the most brilliant people on the face of this planet. When they hit adversity, they can't fight themselves out of the paper bag. And it's not even that they don't have the will, like they got it. It's that the perspective about the adversity isn't right. And I firmly believe perspective drives performance every day of the week. How an individual view what they do will always affect how they do what they do.
You can stop thinking that life finna be easy, cause I got news for you, it ain't. That's a false hope to think you're gonna have a wonderfully carefree life. That's unthinkable.
What do you do when the clock is against you and you have enough wisdom to do it over, but you don't have enough time to do it over? What do you do when you miss your season and you miss your window of opportunity? There's a reason why it happened at this age. There's a reason why it happened at this level in life. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident.
I had to learn how to appreciate a lot. To really understand the value of money, I had none. To just appreciate simple things, what I'm gonna eat today, where I'm gonna wash up at, where I'm gonna bathe, all of that I was going through, that I was tripping with, that I did not appreciate or understand, I understand it now, because I'm on the other side of them troubles. And I understand what all them troubles was for. And even though I did not understand or appreciate the route He took me on, it was the route I had to go on.
It's amazing because sometimes you cannot know you're blessed because you're going through a famine, only to find out that the thing that you were worried about is not nearly as significant as the thing that you had. I want to tell you that your opposition is your opportunity. The challenge of my life is to coexist between two things that are totally true yet opposing each other, and my perspective is the only thing that makes the difference.
I see bad things happening to people that I consider to be good people. So let me try to figure it out. It's somebody I love, somebody I respect. Now they're going through an extreme level of opposition, and they've lost the thing that we both place our identity in. And so, yeah, I want to help him, but I really want to see how he's going to respond to the opposition. And he says he's a believer.
In spite of the risk, in spite of the discomfort, in spite of my own human frailties, is this the opportunity hidden in the opposition? That one premise was the catalyst to changing my perspective on how to manage the rest of my life. I did not know that I cannot control the variables. I can only control the perspective.
See, the route you on right now is the route you got to take. And it's very uniquely yours. This thing you going through, this just uniquely yours. You just got to understand you ain't the only one. You ain't the only one going through it.
Character is not something we inherit. Character is something we got to wake up every single day. We got to fight and we got to build it. Right? In the midst of adversity, in the midst of challenges, in the midst of successes, in the midst of failures, we got to get up every single day. We got to fight for peace.
It's an urge. It's an urge. Truth be told, every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge. I want to encourage somebody that's in the fight right now, that the fact that you're in the fight is a sign that you've been changed because you didn't used to fight it. There's something else in you that's giving you a desire to be better than where you came from, to rise above the mediocrity of your background. Tonight, you get your fight back. Tonight, you get a renewal. Tonight, you get a sense of relief. Tonight, you get a moment of clarity.
You know, nothing happens unless we change. So change is not our enemy, it's our friend. There's a season that you may go through a difficult period, but that is to wake up your ability to change. You cannot become what you were born to be unless you are willing to change into something you are not. This is why change is so important. I like what it says here. Shakespeare says, sweet are the uses of adversity. We never grow in good times. We never advance unless we're under pressure. Change comes to improve and to advance your life, not to destroy you.
I think that we often forget this, that we're going to face hardships. We can't avoid pain. We can't avoid trouble. All we can do is prepare our mindset so that we don't get overwhelmed by our circumstances. A lot of people, when they have a negative circumstance take place in their life, they react negatively to it. And that seems almost natural. In fact, that is natural. Something negative happens to me, my reaction back to it is negative. But this is why you have to change your mindset.
Life isn't what happens to you when you're looking. What happens to you when you're looking is called a plan. Life is what happens to you when you're not looking, when your guard is down, when your back is turned. It's going to work on a Friday morning feeling good and having your boss call you in. And you know she has a look on her face, and you know that look isn't good. You know the economy isn't so hard, and we've got to let you go. And all you can think about are those 3 kids you have at home. You know, life is coming home from work and finding that note on the kitchen table saying, hey, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry, I love you, but I've got to go. And you're frustrated, and you're betrayed, and you're furious, and you're angry, but all you want to do is hold them again. All you want to do is hear those words whispered in your ear, I love you again. No, that's life. How do you handle life? How do you deal with that, those sort of situations? You see, It's been said 100 times, and I'll say it again. You've got to go through it. That's all it is. You've got to go through it. And going through it is not a function of just being courageous. It's not a function of just saying, well, I'm going to close my eyes and see what happens next. It's not that. It's really a function of three things. It's a beginning, it's a middle, and an end. And before you go through it, there's a choice. You make a choice to say, well, I'm either going to stay here or I'm going to be over there someday, somehow. It's a choice. So going through it and thinking about these three steps, beginning, middle, and end, you can really save yourself a lot of trouble and you can discover something more about yourself.
It's called life, and it's not personal. Stuff's going to happen. And if you make it to the 40-yard line, if you can make it to age 40, between 40 and 60, it begins to intensify. All kind of things happen. Between 40 and 60, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer and finally died. Between 40 and 60, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Between 40 and 60, I went through a divorce from someone that I loved very much. Between 40 and 60, had a nationally syndicated talk show, highest rated, fastest canceled talk show in the history of television. Between 40 and 60, oh, life put a whooping on me.
I was homeless, man. I mean, you're in a position where you're going, I got nowhere to go except up. I might as well keep hustling. I was in comedy. I just wasn't making nothing. All the money I was making, I was sending back home to my wife and kids. That didn't last long. She got tired of that real fast. But I couldn't go back to Cleveland because I wouldn't have enough money to drive back down south to perform. One time I drove to the house in Cleveland. I finally got enough money. I drove to the house in Cleveland and everybody was gone. I didn't see my kids for almost 2 years. They just left, boarded up the house. So next thing you know, I'm in the car. I lived there, but it taught me determination. Now, I'm a really, really determined person. It also taught me that no matter what happens to you, it ain't over. I was determined to be something. As long as God wakes you up.
You may have given up on a dream. You think it's been too long. Now you've accepted that you'll never get well. You never meet the right person. Never start that business. What God put in your heart, He's not only still going to bring it to pass, but it's going to turn out better than you thought.
I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks.
You have to take chances in life. If you don't take chances in life, you'll never have the life God has for you. Life is risk. It take courage to pursue your dream.
Nelson Mandela said, there is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living.
So, the first thing you have to think about when you're going through something is very simple. It's, I'm not where I want to be, but I know I can get there. I have faith that I'm going to get where I want to be. So yeah, go through the grieving process. Grieve. Accept that. Say yes to that. One day you look up and, you're still in pain, you're still hurting, but you realize that, hey, it's not as bad as it was. It doesn't hurt as much as it did. And I'm going forward, I'm moving forward. And at some point you emerge, you get to the other side, and you know that, hey, I haven't forgotten. But the pain doesn't hold you captive. You're not crippled by the emotion, by the experience. You're not living out of the past, out of your experiences of pain and defeat or betrayal. You're not living out of all that stuff. You're living in a new perspective.
It's not what happens that determines the major part of your routine. It's not what happens. What happens as a result. The key is what you do about it. You will start that process of change. Do something different the next 90 days than you did the last 90 days, like picking up the books. Do something different, like the new health disciplines, relationship with your family, whatever it is, doesn't matter how small it is. You'll start doing different things with the same circumstances. Since we cannot change the circumstances, we can change ourselves. To change what we do.
Anytime you go through something, there's a fight. It's either a spiritual fight, an emotional fight, a physical fight. There's some sort of a fight. But the key to the whole thing with this fight is that the form is the fight. That's the only thing you should take away from here today. The form is in the fight. What does that mean? It means that you don't get to become this interesting, dynamic, creative, courageous woman, amazing man without going through something. Right? That's what the form is. People who are form and people, you see them and they stand out to you because you know there's something about them. They figured something out about life. They're attractive to you. They're interesting to you. These people have form because they've gone through something. So don't run away from the fight. Meaning, go through it. Don't be afraid to go through it. Get through it, because at the end of getting through it, I guarantee you there's at least one thing you discover about yourself. You discover that there's a version of you you haven't discovered yet. You don't even know exists yet.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. Dollar buys a nickel's worth. We know the air is unfit to breathe. Our food is unfit to eat. Sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. I don't want you to protest, I don't want you to riot, I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflations and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to say, I'm a human being, God damn it! My life has value!